Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joe Bandel. I am the last Rosicrucian. Last week, on my last video, I talked about Gaia as a master frequency, or her master frequencies. And this video is going to be building upon the information that I had there, trying to make it more, trying to clarify it. But also, uh, I'm trying to come at it from a different point of view because sometimes when you come at things from different points of view, it helps to get the point across. It helps to make the understanding more clear what I'm really trying to say. So I'm going to just dive right in here. Uh, Back 35 years ago, this would be back in 1991, I crossed the Great Abyss in one of the major spiritual achievements of my life. Uh, and after that, I was way out. I found myself way out in outer space, and I began the journey back to Earth because part of that was reclaiming. I was so far out in my head, if you will. Uh, I'd pretty much lost my connection to Earth, my connection to Gaia, and I was pretty messed up. Basically, crossing the Great Abyss, you go crazy for a while, and that's kind of what I was doing. I'm busy going crazy, and then kind of like trying to get my act together. But as I did that over the last 35 years of coming back down to Earth and reclaiming my Earth connection, Gaia connection, that energetic connection, um, is very, very telling because what happened was, and this was especially in those beginning years, and let's say the first 5 years after that. But over the last 35 years, I experienced thousands, literally thousands of astral battles. And we're talking a lot of them in the beginning, they were very violent, very serious. And so I'm in a position where I can tell you, I can share from experience some things about astral battles that you might not know about. One of them is when you're pretty weak, you don't really have anything to fight with. Uh, and at some times in these astral battles, I literally didn't even have clothes on, but would just had a knife that I'd be fighting against somebody with, you know. And sometimes I would have to rise up the astral planes to escape, to keep from being, if you could call it, killed. And that's one of the first stages in your astral conflict. It's when you're in danger and you flee upwards. The reason, and the only way you can free upwards is to have that powerful connection to source, which in my case, my crossing the Great Abyss allowed me to do. But it's like, oh crap, I'm going to lose, I'm going to go up, I'm going to escape and go up. And the process of going up actually allows your awareness to remain intact. You don't fragment yourself. If I had been unable in these early astral battles if I had been unable to go up in and to a safe spot. I would have, a part of me would have fractured. It would have split off. And that's what the danger is of, well, that's the idea of going crazy, when something splits off or whatever. So I'm kind of explaining how some of the when you're very weak, if you will, or you're at the beginning stages of having a target on your back, and you're being targeted, first you're not winning the fight in the sense of defeating the opponent. You're winning the fight in the sense of, ha, you didn't get me, but you lost the field. It's like you retreated to safety. You didn't get your way at the lower level that you wanted, because it was a battle over the lower levels. As I became stronger, this thing about the astral battles became different. And there was a point where it was evenly matched, if you will. And during these even matches, what would happen is, basically, let's say you had 1,000 volts of electricity or power or current, or voltage, and they had 1,000 volts, and you came together, and there is a big electrical storm. You basically shorted each other out. And in that case, what happens is the person who's able to recharge the fastest is going to win, because you're going to have a second, you're going to have another battle. But in this time, you were charged up, you were able to recharge faster than they were. And so you win that way, and then you actually win that way. So that's actually the second stage, if you will, in these astral battles. Well, then when you get really strong, really comfortable with these things, what happens is you can kind of slide underneath them at a lower level than they are, and basically just pull the rug out from under them. And what happens is, when you pull the rug out from under them, they're kind of like left hanging in the air, wondering what the hell happened, because their world collapsed, basically. Cognitive dissonance, whatever you want to call it. And that's where, in a lot of ways, that's kind of where I ended up toward the end. Well, actually, I ended up further than that. I ended up to the point where I basically I'm not in astral battles anymore. I remember one astral battle that I was in where somebody tried to fight me. They had a knife or whatever, and I just took it away from them. I bent the blade, and I handed it back to them and said, you shouldn't do that. And there's another, I'll give another instance of an astral battle where somebody had a gun, a weapon, I forget what kind of it was, and they shot me in the chest. It blew a big hole in my chest. And then it just closed up and healed, and I was like, okay, whatever, and shot them back, and they left, whatever. In other words, basically nobody messes with me, and that's I like that, and so I don't really have any battles anymore. which I like. I like to be left alone. But the point is, I had the ability to win these battles because of my connection to Source, which was across the great abyss. And in a lot of cases, these energetic battles, instead of having them fight me, I would just kind of reach up there and plug it into Source and say, okay, here, you fight Source. And they couldn't win. Later, I was able to do the same thing with my connection to Gaia, my connection to Gaia's core, Earth's core, or what you call the womb of creation, which is another power source. And I was able to say, okay, you want to fight? Here, you fight this one. You fight Gaia's core. And both Gaia's core, the womb of creation, and Source, which is like the photon state or whatever, they're both infinite. And you can just kind of let, okay, instead of fighting me, here, you fight this. And that's what I'm really talking about when we're talking about Gaia's master frequency. It's where you plug in, you tap, you just kind of tap into Gaia's energy and you say, you want to fight? Here, fight Gaia. But what I'm trying to talk about with Gaia's ascension and what's happened now with her finalizing her energy frequencies is each, we'll call them chakra centers or noble gases. Each one has reached their permanent frequency and can be a energy source. And what you can do with when you find yourself in a astral battle situation is you can reach in and you can connect to Gaia at whatever level is most developed for you. I would say preferably the heart level, and just kind of let Gaia, use Gaia as a power source for protecting yourself, for strengthening your aura. And if we talk about the 7 chakra centers or types of energies, or you could say 8, with hydrogen being a unity threshold energy, the helium being the archetypal energy with 2 awareness points, and going down through them. I've got them written someplace here again. Helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon, and oganesson. Each one of those, whether it's each chakra center, the third eye chakra, the throat chakra, the heart chakra, the solar plexus chakra, the sacral chakra, the root chakra. You don't need to do what I did. What I did was hooked into Source way above the great abyss as a power source and said, fight this. Or I reached down to the oganesson level, the womb of creation level, and said, here, fight this. Now, you can go to any of the chakra centers because Gaia is functioning as a power source for the whole spectrum, for the complete spectrum. And take advantage of that. Now connect to Gaia. Merge with Gaia. one chakra center at a time, however you want to do it. Just merge and become one with Gaia at that chakra center. It will build, because what's happening is she is done. She's set. And what she will do is entrain each one of your chakra centers till they match. If you are off frequency, she will either cause your energy at that chakra level, whatever you're trying to connect, she'll either make it difficult and cause you to lose energy, to get down to a lower frequency, or she will raise your energy and she'll lift it up to a higher frequency and help you to lock into that higher frequency. The point I'm getting at is it's time to begin using those things, and it's time to not think about them as good or bad or whatever it is. Essentially, what we're doing is what we need to do, because the new cycle demands alternating current. It demands a balance of male and female energy to make something manifest. So it needs to be perfectly balanced through an alternating current type of energy. This is why the shadow self is erupting, because the current is blocked in most people. And what happens is somehow you have to release that trapped and repressed, wounded, toxic energy. Release it into awareness and let it go. Each person is at a different spot. Some people have done more of that releasing of the trapped emotional energy than others. But that trapped emotional energy is also self-defeating. It's where you sabotage your own energies. It's where you are your own worst enemy. And if you're trying to connect to Gaia's master frequency, and if you're trying to become entrained to Gaia's frequency at a specific level of energy, whether it's mental energy, emotional energy, upper emotional, lower emotional, at the physical level, at the etheric level, it doesn't matter. What we're talking about is, if the first thing that's got to be cleared is your own self-defeating tendencies. They're going to have to come into awareness. Forget about fighting somebody else at this point, because what you're doing is it's your own self that is defeating. Maybe it's defeating because you constantly are thinking about, you're constantly being drawn into drama. Because another thing that I'll tell you right now is the best way of functioning, the best way of dealing with the energy that we're having right now is to single-mindedly aim for the goal. Strive for the goal that's a positive goal, that is a win-win-win situation for everybody involved. If you get caught up in negativity, if you get caught up in destructiveness, that is going to trap you in a negative way, and it's going to try to bring your energy down unless you have such a strong supply that you totally wear out the opponent. In other words, if you get in a fight, you better win, which is what I've done. I'd win. And sometimes that's what's needed. So we want to, the point that I'm trying to get across here is to think of connecting with Gaia instead of fighting with Gaia. And what you're doing is finding a way to let Gaia, with her master frequency, to let Gaia do the fighting for you. Forget about trying to fight these people. Line up with Gaia and clear out your own self-defeating tendencies. Clear out your own toxins. Heal your own wounds. And you'll get stronger. And Gaia is now in a position to do that. And the reason that I'm trying to share this is because if you go online, you're reading about or you're watching videos about Gaia's ascension and what's going on and what's happening, it's all about the collective of the human collective, or it's all about your personal ascension journey. In other words, it's not about Gaia. And what I'm the point of this entire video, if I can get it across, is that right now, in the present moment, Gaia herself is your most powerful ally that you can have. And by connecting with her, at first it's going to shake things up and it's going to expose your self-defeating tendencies, but as they come into awareness, you clear them, you get rid of them, then you shift and you start working in harmony with her, and she's going to lift you up. She will lift you up at whatever frequency that you're connecting on. But she's capable of connecting at all the frequencies right now. So that, if you want to know what's the most powerful thing that you can be doing right now, this is what it is make friends with Gaia. Make friends with Gaia's core. Make friends with Gaia's heart energy. Any of the frequencies, because her full spectrum frequency is spot on. And she, Gaia, Earth, Mother Earth, is stronger than any individual out there. And she is stronger than the human collective. What we are beginning to see at the beginning of 2026, we're beginning to see the war between the human race and Gaia. And I'm going to say the human race that refuses harmony, that refuses the one that's harmful to Gaia. It's time to play nice with Gaia because Gaia is starting to take control of the board. And if you blend, if you merge, if you're in resonance with Gaia, she'll help you get through. And if you think you can take advantage of her, it's going to go bad. This is the point that we're at. And we can stop thinking about all these petty wars that the human race is involved in, or the politics and stuff like that, because this is the year when Gaia makes her move. There's physical things, weather related or geologically related, or however you want to call it. Gaia is pushing her master frequency, and it is bumping up against the wrong thinking that humanity has been showing. And it's going to, humanity's not going to win. Gaia's going to win, and those humans that are aligned with Gaia, that are resonant with Gaia, are going to win. And it's a matter of frequencies. It's not a matter of good or evil type of thing. I don't even know how to really share that kind of thing, because people are so polarized now, but they're polarized in a way that doesn't matter, because what happens is entrainment. It's Gaia's got a master frequency that spans the full spectrum, and wherever you touch that frequency, wherever you touch that spectrum, is going to knock you up, knock you down, or slam you away. So anyway, that's the point of this. I hope this makes sense a little bit. I'm trying to share that this is probably, by getting close to Gaia, becoming resonant with Gaia the best way that you know how, is probably the most way of empowerment that you have going for you at this point in time, because we have all our circumstances, our physical circumstances, have all pretty much crystallized around us, and they're going to play out. There's not a lot of leeway. There's not much give in anything anymore. The only thing that we can hope to do is smile when we go through it rather than scream when we go through it. It's our attitude can change as we confront or experience the things that have crystallized around us, which includes our personal dreams and includes our self-defeating tendencies. Anyway, that's it for this week. Till next week, I hope this made sense. I've tried to, again, give you information that's fresh, that's new, that's relevant, and that you're not going to find anyplace else. Thanks, guys. Bye.